AM 590 KXSP Omaha's ESPN Radio. Pull them belts tight, because it's time for the front stretch. Presented by Kosiski Auto Parts at 50th and I Street.
Thank you for joining us this morning on the front stretch, presented by Kosiski Auto Parts, 50th and I Street. Joined, as always, by my friends in studio, Buddy Ray and Andrew Kosiski, and we're joined in studio by special guest Joe Kosiski. Joe's going to be joining us periodically throughout the year as we are working on a new series called Legends of the Dirt. And this was something, Joe, you kind of came to me and said, we need to do something special during the offseason to kind of accent dirt tracking in this. I said, you know what? Let's just steal an idea that I really like. I heard somebody else do, and let's interview local to national dirt track guys who are influential in the sport. And so we're going to be talking with Jimmy Owens, Richie Lewis. We're going to talk with, hopefully talk with Scott Bloomquist. We got a couple of phone calls out to him. He's just got to quit dodging me.
Have you tried to contact Billy Moyer?
Billy, yes, he told me to call him back, and we're working on her. So, yeah, hopefully they'll have some time for us. But
we've got some local legends, don't we?
We do. And as you say that, I don't have the list in front of me. So
why don't you have?
It's sitting at home. I forgot it.
That's like saying Andrew didn't strap his car down.
No, not really, because you're there to. I'm not here to remember things. Hence the reason why I've got to apologize for saying things wrong a lot. But so we're back. Kosiski Auto Parts sponsoring us. Guys, you're having a great season. Great December and November, your Black Friday specials and that kind of stuff. I know you're probably open at midnight on Thanksgiving night, right?
You said December and November. This show's not going to be on until December.
December 2nd. I mean, are you having a good December so far? Listen, this thinking ahead 4 days in advance is a real pain in the ass.
Did you have a Black Friday special?
No, bud. Black Friday.
Well, Dan asked. I'm sitting here thinking, Andrew's, answering the phone. Kosiski Auto Parts. This is Andrew Kosiski. We have a Black Friday bumper special.
Was you out on the street, bud?
We did get some flurries, so I won't maybe bumpers.
No, I was tied down to the doghouse.
Yeah.
That's because of your trip to Rednecks, but we'll bring that up another day.
Thanks to Andrew.
Thank you so much for joining us this morning. Coming up in a little bit, we're going to play our first series of the Legend of the Dirt Track. We sat down with Terry Phillips and talk with Terry quite a bit. Very legendary driver in the local area, and you'll be able to hear a lot of what Terry has done throughout his career and some of his opinions on things. So great little piece we threw together for you, and we hope you enjoy it. It'll be the second half of the front stretch. So the first half, we're going to kind of talk about off-season news, and there was a big thing that happened this week. Bud has just absolutely been killing me with this. He's so excited about it, and we're all excited about it. Finally, NASCAR announced they're going to a dirt track series for the truck series, and they're going to be racing on dirt at Eldora Speedway. I still can't figure out why they went to Eldora. I just can't figure out who would have had the strings to pull to get him to Eldora Speedway. But let's go around the table here a little bit. I want to get your guys' opinions on this. What do you think? Good? Obviously, I'm surrounded by dirt track drivers. No one's going to say this is a bad idea, but is this the right direction for the truck series to go to a dirt track?
I think NASCAR needs to do something a little bit more innovative, or I shouldn't say a little bit more, but they're doing something more innovative now, whether it be NASCAR Sprint, Nationwide Series. They're bringing the trucks to dirt, and it feels like a new innovative deal, but I also feel like it's a throwback to the days when NASCAR, way back in the day, we're talking back when Bob Kosiski raced, when some of the races were actually on dirt.
I believe I read since the 70s was the last time that one of the national touring series for NASCAR was on a dirt track.
Well, that's kind of true, but not really, because they run the Busch All-Star Series, and it was all on the dirt tracks, and the Busch All-Star Series champions were considered the same as every other champion. When the NASCAR book come out with all the champions, the Busch All-Star Series champion was on that front cover right with Jeff Gordon and the rest of the guys that were going with it. I want to say they had 11 series, and there was only one dirt series they had, and that was the Busch All-Star Series.
And again, we've already established that my memory is crap, so I thought I read 1970s, but it very well could have been just 2007 that I saw that, and I get confused easily.
The one thing that I'm interested in is when the Truck Series race comes to Eldora. You take a look at this year, Jimmy Johnson, Brad Keselowski in the Sprint Series. and they have really good runs. They're really consistent. You go down, you look at Ricky Stenhouse, Joey Logano. They're really consistent in the Nationwide Series. Then you have your drivers in the trucks that have their consistent seasons. And boy, if this dirt track isn't going to be the great equalizer, I think there's actually a video on YouTube of the truck practicing at Eldora. And I was, being a dirt track racer, I'm watching how the track is changing through different parts of the day. And boy, it's going to be interesting. I mean, this is going to be exciting, fun stuff to watch and follow.
I don't think it's going to be that exciting as a part of the sport. What I think it's going to help do is, you've heard the Dillon boys have modifieds and have late models that they race on dirt. How's anybody going to keep up with them boys that's going to get in a truck series? The rest of them guys are going to have to now get dirt late models and practice a little bit before they go to that track, the guys that are racing for points. Very few of them have ever, PK, has he ever raced on dirt? Probably not. So he's going to end up having to get some dirt time. Guess what? It's going to help a dirt track somewhere when Nelson PK gets to come and race on that dirt track trying to get to Eldora. So I think it's going to give some notoriety to some of the dirt tracks.
Now, Joe, what I want to ask you as a track owner and promoter, do you see a lot of guys coming out of the weeds to run these trucks on the dirt to try to qualify for the race?
I don't believe you're going to see them coming out of the weeds. I believe you're going to see a few of them try it. I mean, let's face it, where'd Clint Boyer come from? He was a dirt track modified racer in Kansas City. And
Carl Edwards,
dirt track modified racer. Kenny Schrader, dirt track. Kenny
Gordon.
Wallace, Gordon and Casey Kane and Tony Stewart were all from the dirt tracks. A lot of people want to have the opportunity to try it. I think you might see a Tyler Reddick maybe run a Eldora. It's going to have to be somebody that has a few dollars to be able to get a truck or to be able to rent a truck to go there. And I believe you're going to see probably the most trucks try to qualify for that race of probably the whole season.
I think there's going to be nothing is completely set in stone right now. This is what's kind of funny about it, is that it's taken so long for it to be released because they were still waiting for a few key things to fall into place. Basically, one of the biggest ones that made their decision finalized was that Dr. Dean Sicking, who we talked about earlier this year, the first interview we did actually for this season, they contacted him and they went out after Thanksgiving and did some testing at the track. And Dr. Dean Sicking and his team came back and said it's safe to race without the safer barriers. Had he not said that, I don't think we'd be talking about this right now.
I don't think they'd get it done if he hadn't said that. I agree with you.
Because, the amount of money, he talked about the amount of money it would cost to retrofit that track probably wouldn't make it efficient for Eldora to do it on top of everything else they have to pay for.
Most of the tracks have tunnels and things like that, and not a lot of gates. And, a lot of these tracks are built with gates and different things for dirt tracks. Speaking of a dirt track, I would love to see a truck race come to I-80 Speedway.
Yeah.
But, I don't have a seating capacity that Tony does at Eldora. Our seating capacity, about as full as we can get, is about 6,000. We could maybe squeeze a 7 in there, but to squeeze a 7, we got to squeeze. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It'd be like Nebraska football stadium to get them in there like that. And I don't know. Tony's got a little better deal with the seating capacity he's got.
16,006 right now. They can expand to 20,000 with temporary seating. And
to run a truck series purse, they can make that work at Eldora.
Yeah.
And that's why Tony, I'm sure part of the pick of the Wednesday show instead of a Friday or Saturday was because he knows the real dirt fan a lot of times never leaves their home, but they'll leave for something special like that. So I think they'll see a lot of people, as Bud said, come out of the weeds to go watch the race more than they will to try to qualify for the race.
As a track owner and promoter, let's say NASCAR had come to Joe Koziski and said, Joe, I-80 Speedway, we know you're going to have to add more seating. That's a gimme, but let's say you're like, okay, I'll do the truck race. What do you have to change at the track?
I couldn't get it done. I couldn't get the purse handled that it would take to have that group of people there. It would be so costly that it would never happen without NASCAR stepping in and saying, let me help you get it to here. And, NASCAR owns how many racetracks? The day could come when they buy 3 or 4 dirt tracks to do it, to do something like this truck series and make sure they hit 2 or 3 tracks in metro areas that will help them back into their sponsorship again.
If this dirt track at Eldora, if this dirt race goes over wildly successful, do you think in 5, maybe 10 years, we could see maybe an additional dirt track race if in the trucks, and then maybe an additional dirt race or the first dirt race, say, in the Nationwide? ARCA did run dirt.
I will never say no.
This report I'm reading on ESPN, and Jayski filed his own report, that they're talking about heats. I mean, they're talking about changing everything up. At Eldora, Tony has to go in, and I say Tony, he's just the face of it all, but they have to go in and replace a lot of the barriers to make them more safe and to make them to some of the recommendations of the University of Nebraska officials like Dr. Dean Sicking. There's a lot they have to do to this track. And trucks are running probably, 30, 40 miles an hour slower than Nationwide cars?
They'll probably run 30 mile an hour slower than dirt late models.
Well,
on the track, if that's what we're talking about at that track. What I'm getting
at is that when you get up above that 30 to 40 mile an hour faster that the Nationwide cars can go because they got the more horsepower, then you're going to start to get into the danger zone of, then they're going to have to put in safer barriers, and they're going to have to redesign and spend all that money. And so I don't think it would be economically feasible for NASCAR to do it. And to go to a one-off show for the Nationwide Series and the Cup Series, they have to redo all the point systems. I think it'd just be a pain in the butt. But it'd be kind of cool to see.
I think this is the test for whatever they're going to reach for next.
Yeah, I'm really surprised that they're only doing one track right now.
And that's why I was asking if it wasn't over wildly successful. Could you see him in 10 years? Oh, okay, maybe we might try one Nationwide race.
It depends on if the money is being like it is right now. We're seeing a lot of races that the grandstands are a fourth and half full. And if Nationwide drops any more people, they may have to try something. They've got to get the dirt people that go every Saturday night involved into getting back into the NASCAR grandstands. I don't know, you hear people talk about sleepers. Do we really know this test is for dirt, or is it maybe to simplify the idea to the trucks to say, we need to run heat races on a regular show instead of a time trial and let's go run 200 laps? Even at Daytona, you take a 80-lap, 200-mile truck race can get boring.
Yeah.
And they have a lot of yellows and a lot of wrecks. Maybe somewhere along the line they need to get rid of the time trials and turn it into a twin 40-lap race that they have to hard charge the whole time and, make their pays and stuff. And maybe that's what they're testing more, because this heat race format that they're going to do at Eldora is maybe what the test is going to be more than what it's going to be. Is dirt going to work for the other classes? My two favorite races, it's funny you mentioned that, because my two favorite races of the year, outside just a normal format, is the All-Star race and the duels right before Daytona, because it's a shorter race. You have to hard charge. You got to get up on the wheel. The action's now. I mean, watching Daytona 500 for 3 hours is, like sitting back at I-80 for 2 hours and watching Bill Layton, lap Andrew 3 or 4 times. So,
Andrew, what is your thoughts on the trucks going? Are you excited about it?
No, not really. I don't think they're better drivers than late model drivers. We see it at the Prelude every year. They put real drivers in the cars, and it'll be a good race.
It's going to be interesting to see. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be back in turn 2, and we'll kind of touch on this a little bit more and get back to more NASCAR news. This is the Front Stretch presented by Koziski Auto Parts, 50th and I Street in Omaha, on AM 590, Omaha's ESPN Radio.
This is the Front Stretch on AM 590, powered by Koziski Auto Parts. Quality used parts at an affordable price. Now, back to the Front Stretch.
Welcome back to the Front Stretch. We appreciate you sticking with us on this Sunday morning. The Front Stretch on AM 590, Omaha's ESPN Radio, presented by Koziski Auto Parts, 50th and I Street. Get to Koziski Auto Parts to get your car or truck back up to working parts. You guys, quality used parts and Team PRP, you sell premium recycled parts with a full lifetime warranty on it. You can talk to Andrew or any one of the salespeople. Go into 50th and I Street and get your part fixed today. It's a way of instead of headed to the auto parts stores and paying the outrageous prices for an alternator or a water pump or something that's a little bit more like what's some other parts you guys are selling right now that are kind of a hot item? Bumpers?
Batteries this time of the year. Starters this time of the year.
You guys do sell a lot of used batteries.
Oh, used batteries? We give a lifetime warranty on a used battery.
Really?
What?
$40.
For a used
$40
battery?
for a used battery with a lifetime warranty. Now, you can bring it back anytime you want and get another used battery.
Okay, hold up. I want to ask. So I can come in You know I've got 2 race cars. I come in buy 2 batteries.
He's got 2 race cars
for
in
my
a
race
Dodge.
cars.
Okay.
And they're both going to have lifetime warranties.
Lifetime warranty, $40 a piece.
Oh, yeah. Andrew, I'll be seeing you this
Here's
week.
something you got to understand. We buy 80 cars a month. I've got plenty of batteries.
That's true.
Okay.
You ever get like
So-
an Optima in?
I've never gotten an Optima in, but
I've seen a few.
Yeah, we have. There's some of these kids that wreck their little sports car and they've got an Optima in them, and we get brand new Interstates, we get brand new everything. I mean, it's
Joined in the studio by Buddy Ray. Good buddy, Buddy Ray. How you
Good
doing?
buddy.
Yeah, I was talking to you as we were off the air. I said you have officially cursed me because as I'm walking through the halls here at work and people ask me how I'm doing, I can't help but think
Pretty good. Pretty good.
Again, go to our Facebook page, check out the Bubba J clip, and that's where we get our similarities. And joined in studio by Andrew Koziski. Andrew, thanks for coming in again this morning.
You betcha.
Always appreciate the.
Is he not a pretty looking boy over there?
He is.
I mean, come on. Look at that silky, soft black hair
don't,
behind the mic.
Don't get Jesse Sobbing jealous because you might have another man crush. And our special guest this morning, Joe Koziski, as I talked about last turn. Joe's going to join us periodically throughout the year. And I thought today would be a great day since, Joe, you're obviously a legendary dirt track driver around here. And the big news that NASCAR is taking the truck series to the to Eldora Speedway in a very lively turn 1 as the opinions were thrown out there. I'm excited for it because it's something a little bit different. And I know NASCAR's kind of swinging in the wind a little bit, trying to find something that will put butts in seats as far as the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series is concerned. And Bud, you kind of hinted on a little bit, maybe something that could trickle up into the Nationwide Series. So only time will tell. I'm a little bit surprised they're only going to one track. I mean, these organizations are going to have to build one specific truck for one race.
Yeah, but before you mention that, Joe, why is it in dirt track racing that we don't see more dirt tracks having like a dirt style truck? When trucks are outselling regular passenger cars almost 2-1 nowadays.
Bud, there is some tracks that do that, but
Yes,
stop and think about it. How many more classes does there need to be at a dirt track? You've got an A mod, a B mod, a late model, a limited late model, a Hornet, a Pro-Am, a hobby stock. I mean, sometimes there's not room. Yes, back in the day, and I'm talking back when I was young, which maybe you wouldn't have been born yet, Bud, but back in the day, there was maybe 2 classes of cars. They should have started some trucks at that time, and they didn't. I believe there's room for a truck, but not right now with the modifieds. I mean, what's the modifieds really show? But look how many there are. They're not a truck. They're not a car. They're an open-wheeled halfway between they're just a race car. Let's just put it that way.
It's a Frankenstein-looking car is what it is.
Yeah, but you know what I mean. When you ask about a truck, why it isn't with the cars, a modified doesn't really look like a car of any kind.
Fair enough.
I agree. Let's talk about some NASCAR news. Vegas came out, shocking odds. Apparently, there is a guy named Jimmy Johnson that they have put the favorite to be the 2013 NASCAR Sprint Cup Series champion. Any disagreements to that, guys? Do you think, Brad Keselowski has held the title for a little over a week, 2 weeks now, and he's already being told you're not going to repeat.
I've listened to the show 3 times this week, and Andrew himself could not have said it any better. My God, if Jimmy Johnson could only have 2 races back with, 6 DNFs, Andrew, the guy was a force to be where he couldn't be stopped.
He had 6 DNFs, and it still went down to the last race.
Yeah.
And it was still very close. I mean, who knows what would have happened to Brad if he was pushing it at Homestead to try to get up to the above 16th position rather than being able to sit 15th and cruise, Absolutely. I mean, that was a great point on Andrew's part. Any disagreements with him being the prohibitive favorite?
No, but Joe said before we went to air, for the next, 10 years, you're going to see that. So I wouldn't even worry about it. What I'm more curious about is who are they picking for second place? I mean, is there a prediction out there? Because I'm thinking Clint Boyer could be right up there.
It should tell you by how much the odds are on him getting second and third. And Roger Penske hitting his first championship to go back and repeat would be me. It would put him down a little bit in the odds. Not so much Brad Keselowski, but for Roger, he's changing over to Ford. I think that's going to be a bigger hindrance to the team than Brad possibly not having the chance. Jimmy's going right back with the stuff that he had last year.
You do kind of wonder about those wild card scenarios. I mean, Dodge was the only manufacturer that didn't have a single failure this year, and now now they're going to be switching. Now Penske's switching over to Fords. Now he's going to be running Roush Yates engines, which Roush Yates, pretty good name behind him, but those had a couple failures, and those were Ford engines that dropped off at the end of the season.
I was going to say the last half of the season, their performance wasn't the best from Roush.
If you had to pick one wild card for 2013 to be the champion outside of Jimmy Johnson, who would it be?
Kyle Busch.
No, I'm taking Harvick with going to Stuart Haas.
He's not going
He's
to
not
Stuart
doing
Haas
it
in
until
2014.
214.
Okay, so I'm way behind.
And that's one thing we haven't even had a chance to talk about yet is Harvick going to Stuart Haas. So we'll cue that up for a few minutes. But
I keep thinking the same man you are. He's got to win the championship one of these years. Is Kyle Busch. Kyle Busch is a race car driver. You know, he's just got a little kid mentality when he was younger. This last year, I think he proved a little more that he doesn't have it. But I think the M&Ms are just going to slide him right to the feacher win.
Yeah, Andrew, who do you think is your?
I like Busch a lot, but I'm Case Kane. I've been Casey Kane all this year.
You've been on the Kane train all year.
I think he's going to do it. He's with Hendricks. They're the best team out there.
I like Kyle because you go back to Texas and what he did there. And then he's got Kyle Busch Motorsports, and he had to sit on the box and watch his brother win in that 54. And to my recollection, he didn't put that 54 in victory lane for the Nationwide Series this year. He got close quite a few times, but I don't believe he put it in there himself driving it.
Kyle, you're talking about didn't.
Right. Kyle
His brother
did. Kurt did. Yes. And there's a level of responsibility that you learn and a patience you learn as an owner. I think that is one thing that Kyle is missing. And the other thing is that Kyle missed the chase this year. And Kyle was one of the guys that was on fire at the end of the season. Had he made the chase, I think he'd have been a contender this year. And I think that leaves a bitter taste in his mouth that he let one get away.
When you say a lot of energy, I mean 5-hour energy? I think that's who was on fire in the chase.
Clint
Clint was on fire, and I think was it at Phoenix? He was really on fire.
Him and his pit crew were on fire.
Yeah.
Buddy, you asked me who was second for the odds in Vegas. Denny Hamlin, 7-1 odds.
Oh my God.
Kyle Busch is third on the list, 8-1 odds. Clint Boyer fourth, 9-1 odds. Tony Stewart and Matt Kenseth are both 10-1 odds. Gordon 11-1. Keselowski doesn't come in until 7th, 11-1 odds. Do you think that's because of the engine and the manufacturer
I believe it's going to
switch?
that's going to be a big deal. Them guys to drive into Daytona and expect to be right there on top. I'm having a hard time believing that it can happen that easy. Even though they're using an engine setup that's been there, that crew chief, knowing the horsepower ranges, knowing the gear ranges, I think it's just going to be a different deal. That's my feeling. Now, maybe he'll come right back. I always liked the old Polish kid. I knew his dad, Bob, and he was a great guy.
The thing is, he kind of had it. We talked about it several times. He had the golden horseshoe this year.
Yes, he did.
How many times can you get into an accident and still finish in the top 10? I mean, he got wrecked
Jimmy Johnson
at Talladega.
Kansas.
That was just plain insane.
But I'm just saying,
He got wrecked at Talladega. He got hit in the side, and he still brought it home, 14th, I think? Or
something like that.
I don't have my book in front of me. He got wrecked at Phoenix. What was it? I believe it was the 78 Kurt Busch that ran into the side of him. Comes across the line just fine. I mean, how many times did he have that golden horseshoe shine through and bring him a good finish? So you wonder how long can that golden horseshoe stay, and is Jimmy going to rip it out of someone's hands? I want to talk about the 2013 cars. We still don't have a complete rules package for the 2013 cars. Is this going to be the wild card walking into Daytona? They don't have a lot of time for testing. They don't have these cars completely buttoned up and sealed up as far as what they're going to act like, feel like, react like. Is this going to be the wild card that we're hoping for Daytona that's going to make that race a little bit more exciting?
I don't know about a wild card. I did see on the internet today, I think it was on jski.com, I believe, where they did say that the cars in 2013 will be approximately 10% smaller than today's current models. I don't think it's going to be necessarily much of a wild card. I mean, it may, especially with the body lines and the aero packages. I think it's going to bring a lot of excitement to the fans of NASCAR. A lot of the cars outside of the headlight decals and whatnot, they look too much the same to me.
Like modifieds. They all look
They're
the
all
same.
the same. Yeah.
Have you ever seen my modified? I always try to make some kind of a one-off body to stand out.
But I mean, I'm just saying that's really it
Fits your personality.
Yeah, the late models. I mean, our dirt track cars are all the same, and their cars are too. Yeah.
And if you haven't seen the cars yet, you can head over to our Facebook page. I posted the pictures of all the cars. We all single-handedly agree it's a crying shame. Dodge is the best-looking cars.
Yeah.
I do like the Ford Fusions. Those are absolutely beautiful. Earlier this week at the awards ceremony, Chevy unveiled their car, but we did have some sneak peeks up on the Facebook page. They had it in like a weird checkerboard look, so you couldn't really see the lines of the car. They were being all sorts of secretive like they love to do.
The Toyota looks really small.
The Camry, it looks like what you would see at a street race.
It looks like a Hot Wheels car.
I really believe that might help. You know, we talk about a lot of things that'll help, and I think that getting them back looking like their car, more like their car, I think is going to be a big plus.
Yeah, I'm very excited with some of the changes that NASCAR is making to the cars themselves. Not just the sheet metal design, but they're working a lot with. I think they're talking about taking the number off of the hood, off the roof of the car, and they're going to put the driver's name to give it more recognition, and so it's easier to see. With the new body styles, it'll be easier to see the difference between a Toyota, a Chevy, and a Ford. The
name will now be on the top of the windshield, and you are now allowed to put one sponsor logo on the top of the roof right in front of the number. Yeah. That is one thing I did see today on the internet.
Cool. So there's a lot of changes coming for NASCAR in 2013. Let's talk about 2014 before we wrap up this turn and in the move that that Harvick has announced it fully at Homestead during the championship weekend, and get you guys' reaction. He's leaving RCR to go over to Stewart-Haas. There's a lot of different things that are up in the air as far as I'm concerned. Is Newman going to be around in 2014? Is Harvick going to take over that ride? I know Jimmy Johns and Budweiser announced that they're going with Harvick when he goes over to Stewart-Haas Racing. Does it become Stewart-Harvick Racing? What do you guys think we see the future for 2014?
I think Harvick's just going to be a higher driver for Stewart-Haas. Newman, I don't see him being there. I mean, we were kind of talking this year about just a 1 year at a time type contract. It wouldn't shock me if Newman wasn't there. It wouldn't shock me if he was there. But, I mean, can you imagine Newman? I think Newman, Harvick, Stewart is a more formidable team than Harvick, Stewart, and Danica. Yeah. I like the three guys. Nothing against Danica. I just think she's not the driver that Stewart, Harvick, or Newman is.
Obviously not. No. She's only been...
But she brings the dollars.
Yeah, and that's the key thing nowadays. I mean, I think the wild card to whether Newman stays or not is, can they find sponsorship for him for a full season? I think that'll be the deciding factor.
In 5 years, do we see Stewart-Haas racing as a formidable race team against Hendricks? I mean, yes, he's won races, but do we see him as being a big powerhouse like we did with Richard Childress back in the 90s, early 2000s? You saw the Hendricks organization.
You're listening to The Front Stretch on AM 590, Omaha's ESPN Radio. Brought to you by Kosiski Auto Parts and Team PRP. Premium recycled parts at an affordable price.
Welcome back to The Front Stretch, presented by Kosiski Auto Parts, 50th and I Street. Team PRP, premium recycled parts. It's where you go to get your car or truck back on the road without paying an arm and a leg. Well, we've started this brand new segment called Legends of the Dirt, and we're honored to have our first guest, Terry Phillips, a legendary dirt track driver in the United States. Terry, thanks so much for joining us. Can you talk about how your career got started and the beginnings of your career?
Well, probably when I was, I'm going to say about 10 years old. My dad raced, and I started going to the races then, and kind of been hooked on it ever since.
Was there one race that you went and saw, or one moment you can point in your life and just say, that's it. That's when that's the exact moment I knew this is what I was going to do in my life.
No, not really. It's what my dad did for a living, and just always around it, and he wasn't around a lot when I was young. When I got to go with him, I don't know if it was because of what he did, but it got to be what we did. It was our life, so I don't know how old I was when I just always decided that's what I was going to do. There wasn't no real defining moment, just what we do and just started,
When you have a legendary father and you're coming into the sport and you're trying to, bust your butt and make a name for yourself, having that legendary father behind you, does that put quite a bit more pressure on your shoulders?
I never really felt that. I get that question quite a bit, but it never really was like that, I know it's just, like I said, it's just what we done. I mean, that's our family business, I guess you'd say, and when I started racing, I was more, only thing I worried about if I wasn't doing it right is I was going to have to face him. It wasn't really expectations to beat him or do better than him, I'm not sure I'll ever do that, but never was really a thought in my mind. He never, pushed me to say be better than him. He wanted me to be better than everybody, there was a pressure, I've won races and still got a butt chewing for not doing it right, so he was a little, he's hard on me, but like I said, looking back, probably made me what I am today. I don't know if that's good or not, but, we do it for a living and had a pretty successful career so far.
After just 11 years of starting your career, you won the MLRA Series Championship in Oklahoma. Talk a little bit about that win and some of the big wins you've had in your career.
Well, yeah, I mean, when I started out, I started out in the modified, IMCA modified, and won some races. So I got wins early in my career. Matter of fact, won my second race I ever raced, but just like I said, it was kind of natural for me to get in it. And when I knew I was getting close to get the drive, of course, I was excited for several years before I got the drive. But I'd sneak in the infield, watch Billy Moyer out and watch him work his hands and listen to the throttle. And, he was so smooth. I want to learn from him. And, I just watched everybody. And then, watching my dad all them years, he could slide a car around a corner faster than most people could drive them around, So, sometimes you have to do that. So I try to take a little bit from everybody and, put it towards what I was going to do. But, I think my first big win that was there in Muskogee, Oklahoma, and I like to feel that. I wanted to win more of the bigger races and stuff. So, it was a $10,000 to win way back when, and which is a big race today. But it was huge back then, so stories about that too, So, but I know I won that thing. My dad, the first time I really saw him excited, and I told him after I won that thing, I said, "There's something wrong with this motor." It started making some goofy noises, He was all excited. He started that thing up and revved it up 2 or 3 times. Said, "When you're leading a 10,000 to win, you can hear a wheel bearing going out." In the next race, I blew it up and blew up another one. So I knew there was something going on. But
so you were finally right.
Yeah, I was right. But he, and he wasn't racing a lot of dirt. He was running pavement too. And that actually, in a roundabout way, helped me because he took my deal serious, but not as serious as I wanted to be. And after breaking these used motors that he bought from somebody or something, and we went to Russell Baker and started getting good quality engines. Way back then, he was the hot guy at the time, and it really upped my program.
Terry, I'm sitting here and I'm looking at this, and it says that you won your first race at about the age of 30, and I think you're in your mid-40s, low 40s right now, and you've got 100 wins in MLRA, if I recall right. Didn't you hit your 100th win this year?
Yeah, I think 101, 102 right there at your track.
You're right. There you go. That's what I'm saying. So
yeah, I didn't even know that until they announced it, but they said that I got my first win when I was in my 30s.
Around 30 years old, I think it was, wasn't it?
Well, started racing when I was 19 and won 12 races that year.
Was that in the MLRA?
Maybe.
Oh, okay, great.
It probably was MLR. Yeah, I wouldn't think about that, but yeah, probably so. It probably took me a little while racing against Moyer and Joe Kozeski and Steve Kozeski and guys like that. It probably took me a little while to win an MLR race.
You got any good stories about racing with our special co-host here, Joe Kozeski?
You got to have one.
Any good dirt you can give us? No pun intended.
I don't know if I can say that, I'm just kidding.
Terry, there's a rumor going around that Land O'Lakes Butter once sponsored Joe Kozeski for helping him getting in his cars quite a bit. Any truth to that you know of?
I don't know. I don't know anything about that, but no, I always looked up to Joe, you know, and you know, Eddie, his brother, we was good friends growing up, and you know, I think we started that World Outlaw deal the first go around with it, and Joe was one of the guys that beat him. I think Steve maybe, and of course my dad and Willie Kraft, Moyer, and that, and I think I got Rookie of the Year, and probably didn't win any, but I don't know, 4th or 5th in points behind him. But you know, just always looked up to Joe and what he done, and then his NASCAR days and stuff. You know, we was pretty big into that around here, so kept an eye on him.
Well, your dad set up and actually has won the most NASCAR national championships of anybody in NASCAR in the history of NASCAR since 1982. Has he won 4 of them? I believe it was
5. You know.
Five national championships in the NASCAR ranks. I mean, that's saying something right there.
I think he won 3 in a row was a record for quite a while.
You bet.
And then it's maybe this Jimmy Johnson dude, you know, come along or something. I don't know, but
Jimmy who?
Yeah. Who's heard of that guy?
Yeah.
Terry, when you started racing with guys like Joe and Steve Kaziski and Billy Moyer, when you first went to the race and you started racing against these guys, was you really in shock and awe, or was you already used to being in that mentality, in that kind of aura?
I was used to it. Heck, I knew them guys way before I started racing, so I mainly try to stay out of their way, probably. But no, I didn't. You know, I don't know how to explain it without, you know, sounding arrogant. You know, not arrogant at all when it came to it. But when when I started racing, when you're in Larry Phillips' shop, you go to win, and that's been my mentality since I started. You know, it's still that way. So, I mean, he really, well, I guess you could say he was a winner, and he really pushed that. And that's all there was to it. I mean, it's just, there wasn't no other, you know, like that third, you know, and that ain't too bad. Well, why didn't you win it, you know? So it's just been that way my whole life, you know. So I've tried to win since I started. So probably what's drove me to, you know, to win however many I have now. So still that way. He's gone, but think about him every day, and you know, thinking about what he would have done, and a lot of things I don't do what he'd have done. He was a little harder on people than I am, but as far as the racing part, you know, that's what I try to do still.
You know, I'm sitting here looking at your website, Terry, and I'm seeing $20,000 win, $9,000 to win, $3,000 win, and then I look up here most memorable moments, winning the $33,000 Show Me 100 and the $100,000 modified race in 2005. I just got to ask, did you have a Brad Keselowski moment when you won that $100,000? I've always wondered, I mean, what goes in your mind when you win $100,000? That's more than I'm making 3 lifetimes.
I doubt that, but anyway,
we pay him in peanuts.
That was a pretty exciting time. That was a unique race that hasn't happened again, you know, but I don't know how to explain that one. That, you know, I don't get too excited, and I'm pretty even keeled about races, you know, and I do get excited, and then I have to tell myself, you know, you're an old timer now, you've been through this, just settle down. I talk to myself quite a bit. That deal there, that was it was just crazy. It was crazy. I don't know if I had a Brad moment or not. I'm not really same kind of guy as he is, but I probably did have. No, actually, I'll tell you what. When I won that race, my helpers, all my crew and stuff, stayed, partied, and I drove the truck home by myself. Isn't that crazy?
Well,
I feel somebody here a while back about it. I mean, we was excited, and it was in Batesville, Arkansas. I got about West Plains, Missouri, about halfway home. I had some people follow me. I was on the phone. I mean, talking to different people, excited. I got to West Plains, couldn't hardly keep my head up. When I finally came down off of it, I had to go in and get something to drink and a candy bar or something to stay away from Springfield. And it was only an hour and a half away, you know. So
when you cashed that check, did you do something nice for yourself, or did you just dump it right back into the car?
Oh, heck, it was spent before I got it. That's the way it is. It's just the way it is when you're racing, you know. I don't even have a clue where it's at now, but it was a pretty exciting time, you know.
Did you get to keep the giant check, and do you frame that and hang it up on the wall somewhere?
Didn't get one.
You didn't get one? Really?
Yeah, I was kind of wanting that, but what they had was 2 trophies that was taller than me, which I do have in my trophy room, and they had 2 big bags, looked like money bags, but they're full of T-shirts. But no, I mean 2 big nice trophies, so I have them. Didn't get the big check. That would have been needed because I hang them up in my shop. But they had my sponsor at the time, still Andy's Frozen Custard, John, who's passed away now, but he got one of the T-shirts from there and a big newspaper article from here, and we got kind of made a plaque out of it hanging on the wall here in the shop. And Jeremy Payne drove for me for 4 or 5 years, and he got to walk by it every day. You know, I passed him with 2 to go to win that thing. And he later on started driving for me, and he got reminded every day about it. He didn't think it was very funny.
You know, they never really seem to think it's very nice of you.
No, he sure impressed me. I think he was 16 then. Led that whole thing. Had Scott Bloomquist all over him, and later on I got by Scott, and later on I was all over him. About passed him once, and kind of rubber down deal. And they raced to the yellow in that particular race, and we was up to lap cars, and I just kind of out-snookered him a little bit. The bottom line of it, I was faster than him down the straightaway. He could get in the corner better than me, and I could catch him back down the straightaway. So I seen a car pulling over, going to cause a yellow, so I backed up. We went through 3 and 4. He was behind lap cars, and I got a run at him. And I was going to cut underneath him, but he kind of pulled down, followed the lap cars, put his hand out the window. I had a big head of steam going, and he kind of blocked the bottom, so I went high and squeezed between him and the wall, and about went out of the park backwards. I was in the marbles and about hit a bunch of lap cars because I was still running 80, and they was almost stopped. About crashed the car, and my heart was beating, and I don't usually get that excited. I'm like, I was talking bad to myself, let's put it that way, about how stupid I was about crash the car, run second, it's 20,000 per second, and roll around there and seeing I was on the top of the leaderboard and thinking it's 2 to go. Oh, I turned around and seen that, and I go, well, stay there. I kept telling the scoreboard, stay there, and I got to think, well, hell, I've never been in the lead, so I'm in the lead. It took me a minute to realize I was in the lead. And then I had a tire going down. I was a nervous wreck, and barely across the finish line, went into one, the right rear blew out on the rim.
We've always said it's better to be lucky than good, right?
Yeah.
One lap sooner, all the luck would have been ran out right there.
Yeah, sure would have. I've led that topless race, had 2 to go, and had a straightaway and blew out a right rear one time. That maybe it paid back or something, but some old man came in here, and I said, boy, I barely finished that thing. And he said, well, you told me you put a 100-lap tire on, not 101. I guess that's the way to look at it.
We got to take a quick break. We'll be right back as we continue our conversation with Terry Phillips. This is The Front Stretch, presented by Koziski Auto Parts on AM 590, Omaha's ESPN Radio.
This is The Front Stretch on AM 590, powered by Koziski Auto Parts. Quality used parts at an affordable price. Now, back to The Front Stretch.
Welcome back to The Front Stretch, presented by Koziski Auto Parts, 50th and I Street. We continue our conversation with legendary dirt track driver Terry Phillips. Terry's a part of our new series we're doing called Legends of the Dirt. Terry, was there a moment in your career when you were able to stand on top of that car and say, I've made it, I'm now at the same level that all these guys I've watched growing up?
Well, no, not really. Not really. As Joe knows, you don't really think like that. I usually worry about the next race, how I can make my car better. Just being honest. But not really. Winning that 100,000 and winning the Show Me too. I'm pretty sure I thought I finally beat these guys. But I feel maybe I'm one of them. But it's hard to beat. Every year's different, so you can't really just say one's better than the other. It just depends who's hot at the time or whatever. But there's no particular moment that stands out where I thought I was on top of the game, or whatever. But
in the past year here, you've been running a lot of modified, the USMTS modifieds and the late models. Do you have a preference on which style of racing you like, the USMTS or the late models? And so this a little ahead of time. USMTS is going to have one of the hunt races at I-80 again this year on a Sunday night right after they're at Wheatland. So I'm hoping to get to see Terry Phillips if he's coming up, not only for the Silver Dollar Nationals and the Spring Meltdown, but for I think he'll probably be up again when we do our 28th and 29th of June race, the Alphabet Soup here, and then they go over to Corning, Iowa right after that. But we have that USMTS is going to be here for the hunt. Are you going to follow the whole hunt this year, or do you know what you're going to do with that, Terry?
No, I don't. I'm a late model racer. I mean, that's just who I am, you know. But I do enjoy the modifieds. I mean, that's a big part of my business here, as far as selling them and selling parts. And you know, we used to kind of joke about it as vacation racing, but it's not. That stuff's as serious as anything, you know. As a matter of fact, it's probably more competitive than about any series out there. I don't care what series it is. I mean, these guys are pardon my French, they're badass. I mean, about 20 cars can win it each night, you know. So, matter of fact, at that race there, the Silver Dollar, a lot of the big late model guys, they know me or talking to new race mod and had some success, but they never really watch it. And a lot of people don't like modifieds, you know, because a lot of places they just kind of beat on each other and cause a lot of caution and stuff, just being truthful about it. But things have picked up in the last few years, you know. We had that race there at I-80, and I don't know, I think I started third or fourth where I ended up winning the thing, but they just, the Roush Motor people and Bloomquist, they said he's on his trailer jumping up, you know. I mean, they're all like, I'm a fan now. I mean, I didn't realize it was like these things. I mean, they're competitive, and I mean, they race their tails off. So it's really changed. That series right there has changed the outlook on modifieds, you know, pretty much. But all in all, I'm a late model guy, and I don't know, I won't follow the hunt. I think it's, you know, I don't pay quite as much each race and that. I'll follow some of they have the Champion Series or whatever they call it, and I followed some of that and just hit some of the bigger races in the mod things. But I just pick and choose, you know, what makes sense to me, you know, as far as, you know, racing for 11, you know, it's just how you have to do it.
Terry, the NASCAR trucks are making their debut at Eldora. Give us your thoughts on NASCAR going to dirt, and would you accept a ride if maybe one came up available for you?
I haven't thought about that. Somebody did actually bring that up yesterday. I didn't even realize they was doing that, but I don't do computers or even magazines much, really. But somebody said that. I don't even know how that's going to work. Maybe probably work fine, but has a truck been on the dirt before? I mean, I don't know about if they could make the corner very well.
They did a test earlier this year with a specially designed truck for the dirt tracks. From Richard Childress Racing, built a prototype truck, and Tony Stewart went out there and ran it for a little while, and it didn't look too bad. I mean, it was able to corner pretty well.
It probably a late model chassis with maybe a truck body on it or something. I don't know.
I heard that they still have to use their big long truck arms and everything. Yep. So it's basically it's still going to be a truck, an actual race truck that they run in NASCAR.
Oh yeah. When I was watching the video, you didn't see the left rear drive, you know, coming off the corner or going into the corner. It didn't act like a late model or modified.
Right, how it leans up.
Yeah, it didn't hike up. It looked just like you're at Bristol in a truck. So
yeah.
Dang, I don't know. It might be interesting. I don't know if I would drive one of those. That's way different from what we do. But
Richard Childress gives you a call and says, "Come run one night with me at Eldora." Would you show him the door, or would you hear him out?
Oh, I'd probably listen to him. I mean, when he talks, you got to listen, right?
Yeah.
You never know. I mean, you know, I guess if that opportunity come up, I might try it, but that'd be something to see. I don't know how that'd work. I don't know. It might be interesting.
Speaking of opportunity knocking, have you ever had the opportunity to go up and race for a NASCAR team or kind of do a test or anything like that to try to maybe poke up into the asphalt world?
No, I never have. You know, it's been focused on the dirt stuff. I've run some pavement from, you know, on my dad's car, and I think like 5 times, but no, never have. You know, time the truck stuff come around and things like that. Heck, I'm old compared to the kids they got today, and old and the fat boys. So it's hard to get those rides, but never really have. You know, when Jeremy drove for me, we tried to get him stuff. We did some tests and stuff, but drove some pavement car. It was okay. You know, I mean, kind of go where the money's at, but for me personally, it was pretty boring. You know, I mean, to watch, to drive, the whole deal. I mean, I think you drive a dirt car, you can go pretty good in a pavement car. You know, I run 2. Back then it was called Artgo, I guess was I forget what they call it now, but one of the bigger series came in, and the first time I even drove a pavement car, I run 4th. I think Ted Musgrave won, and Rick Corelli and Mike Wallace was 3rd, and then the next night run third in my dad's regular car, and you know, against some pretty good names that are up in that now, right with them. You know, first time I was ever in it, so I enjoyed it. It just was different, but it just, you know, like I said, there's no money compared to the dirt stuff going on, but never really had the opportunity to do that, no.
Terry, when you see your fans wherever you go and race, you know, week in and week out, what kind of advice, what kind of guidance would you give these young people wanting to get into our sport these days?
Well, I mean, it's all about work ethic, what you want to do. You know, I mean, I'm a firm believer in that, and you know, there's a lot of young people racing. Fortunate, you know, are more fortunate to have some money behind them and stuff, but still, you got to have the drive to want to win races, work on them, get in that shop. You know, the races are won in the shop, and you know, the electronic world we have today, you don't see that as much as you used to. That may upset a lot of people, but you know, I'm a little old school, I guess you'd say. But pretty sure Joe and myself is, you know, he can tell you have to get in that shop and learn how to work on things. And you know, you've seen guys like, let's say us, go big time NASCAR, and they've done well. You know, your Mark Martins, your Rusty Wallaces, even Jamie McMurray used to come in the shop. Now he didn't, you know, work on just super hard, but he knew what things did when he moved something, and had to work for it a little bit. You know, you know, it's all about work ethic, how hard you want, you know, how bad you want it, and how hard you want to work at it.
Terry, what's the future look like for you? How much longer you planning on running the Dirt Series? Any sign in your future, maybe backing down a little bit?
No, not that I know of yet. I mean, it may be out of my hands, but so far we're still gun ho. You know, I'm 10 years younger than Billy Morgan or some of those guys, so. Shoot, I think I got a long time to go, you know, health holds up stuff, but my mind, I guess, but I sure forget a lot of things like I didn't used to right now, but as far as driving, you know, hopefully I'm as good as I've ever been, hopefully getting better. I try to do, you know, learn things every time I go, and I don't see me ever doing anything else, you know. I guess when I get where I can't win races, I don't feel I'm competitive, I'll probably do something else. I mean, it'll be in the racing, but maybe back down a little bit or something. But for right now, it's full speed ahead.
Probably have to go be a Walmart greeter when you get to that point, right?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. I probably wouldn't be very good at that job, you know.
No.
Terry, if somebody came to you and said, you know, Terry, you're all about late models. We all know you're all about late model racing. I don't care who you are, what state you're from, what division you're in, but within the division that you specialize in, with you being late models, if there had to be one thing that you had to change about late model racing, what would it be and why?
You know, I don't know.
Did we stump you on that one?
Yeah, a little bit.
That's about as deep as our questions get, so don't worry.
Well, I don't know. You know, you'd say the price of them, but it's just part of it. You know, things that change would be some of these tracks. Be my biggest deal. I mean, I wish all of them was like I-80, to be honest. Big, wide, racy. You know, all a racer wants is a track that you can pass and race on. These little one-laners, they just irritate me. You know, so.
Terry, we really appreciate you joining us this morning, and thanks for taking the time. Best of luck in 2013, and have a good off-season.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Well, that does it for us on the Front Stretch. From all of us to all of you, thanks for tuning in. This is the Front Stretch, presented by Koziski Auto Parts on AM 590, Omaha's ESPN Radio.